Now for global business updates. Rotus Oddiri, wearing a very fine suit, new suit, joins us.
Good morning, Dr. Abasi.
We did comment about your suit offline, so Dr. Abasi just had to let the people know so that they give you your flowers this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Reply. Good morning.
So it's new.
All our viewers, good morning.
Dr. Abasi is new.
Yes, made in Nigeria. Although the material maybe
excellent.
from somewhere else. What to watch this week? A lot to come this week. A Nigerian designer.
What's his name?
What would I say his name? Please, can we focus on our...
There are some designers they call Taylor Laurent.
Taylor Laurent. so that you support his business.
Yes, of course.
So what's his name?
No, I'm moving on to what to expect this week. So the mobility, there's the Munich car show begins this week. There's a big showdown between, Rufai talks about BYD a lot. BYD, basically Asian car makers versus Europe. The market share is building. Also, we continue our coverage, of course, in Algiers, Algeria, the Intra-Africa Trade Fair. You've all heard of the news, of course, with Nigeria hosting the 2027 edition. Apple's event is tomorrow. We'll be getting more information on the iPhone 17, Max, and there was a big sales number coming from India. We'll get to that a little later. Wednesday, PPI from the US. I think Thursday we get CPI as well from the US. But the ECB rate decision, which I think could be a hold, and then Friday, UK monthly GDP. Oil prices reversing a 3-day slide from last week. Going to oil now. We saw Brent crude and West Texas Intermediate both rising in trading this morning. And that's on the back of OPEC Plus deciding that they will increase outputs for October. But the increase in output is about 137,000 barrels, which is much less than what we saw in the prior months leading up to October. So I think we saw 514,000 in September, and then May, June, July, we saw about 411,000 for those particular months for OPEC. So I think that, things with the tariffs, trade issues, they're seeing that China could be hit up with demand. Yeah, there it is, 137,000 there for OPEC Plus as far as the October output hike is concerned. But again, much lower than what we've seen prior. It looks like Saudi Arabia just wants to get their, for their market share. What else? Asia markets, Japan leading the way this morning with the news of Shigeru Ishiba. They say it in Japanese. Jingi, I think, is for resignation. 1.45%, Australia down. Other indexes were in positive. We got also trade data from China as well. We'll get into that. But I think the markets are expecting that whoever takes over, because we're hearing that the economics could be reversed, where they could actually, we see some policy loosening from the Bank of Japan, even though Kazuo Ueda has been talking about possible rate hikes. But now the markets are saying, okay, we could get rate cuts with the next leader. The Liberal Democrats have to pick someone new. And we'll see what happens from there. But it's not just in Japan. We're also seeing political pressure, putting a lot of stuff on pressure on bond yields. So I've mentioned Shigeru Ishiba, who of course resigned. Javier Milei lost a regional vote in Buenos Aires. I mean, they expected not to win it, but the margin was pretty large. He's got midterms coming up in October. And his economic policies have been front and center, and he's facing a lot of opposition right now there. Plus, so bond yields in Argentina up, the peso weakening. We also saw the yen weakening to the dollar with what happened with Ishiba. And then Francois Bayrou est en difficulté. He looks like he could be out of a job later on today. He's facing a no confidence vote, which he called. It looks like Macron could be picking his 5th or 6th prime minister now in 18 months. So, that French yield is also rising as well. So investors are pretty worried about what's going on in the Asia region, Latin America, and Europe for those three respective areas. As I mentioned, China exports slowing to a 6-month low, 4.4% growth in August. July was 7.2%. Imports at 1.3. They're also slowing from 4.1. Trade surplus is at $102 billion for August. It's rising from $98.2 billion in July. Of course, there was the whole matter of trying to get exports out there. But it's very interesting when you look at the regions, August, right? So U.S., exports to U.S. are down for a 5th straight month, down by 33% year on year in August. But the Asian region, and Vietnam is part of it, but look at Vietnam. Vietnam exports jumped 31%. And this is something Trump and the US have mentioned, that they're going to target other countries, be it Malaysia, Vietnam, that China tries to route their exports through to get to the US, which is still the largest market. So it was very notable to see exports to Vietnam up 31%. The big outlier for the Asian region. And then the EU, 10.4. I mentioned the US jobs numbers. That was on Friday. Apple. How is Apple selling $9 billion worth of goods in India, where India has the largest? I mean, I saw the front page of today's This Day, El Rufai talking about how Nigeria's poverty has risen. But India has the largest number of poor people in the world, 250 million. But Apple's targeted focus on the upper middle class and middle class to put these kind of numbers, $9 billion. And if you know, they've routed their supply chains through to India as well from China. Plus, we're going to get the Apple events tomorrow. I think it's quite remarkable. India's market is something to be said for that. Meanwhile, the US job numbers were bad. They were bad. I mean, 22,000 jobs.
Even with the new fixer.
I don't think that person has taken over. So the last person he fired may still be there or something. But either way, and he didn't really say much. But the revised jobs for July was 73. It was just 22,000 in August. Private payrolls was 38,000. It was 83,000. Unemployment has now risen to 4.3%. So there's now, I mean, the rate cut is expected now for September for the the Federal Reserve. It depends. We have to see what is just. And then Nigeria, I know what's going on with the Nupeng and Dangote, the talks to avert a strike. But then also the Guardian has a interesting story about premium customers exiting the grid, which could put some revenue pressure on the country as far as electricity is concerned. But I mean, if people are exiting the grid, then that means theoretically less pressure. But I think they know it's industrial demand that makes up the bulk of the grid. But that's our updates for today.
All right, we don't have time.
Packed show.
Packed show this morning. But thank you so much, Rotus. So many things to talk about this morning. But thank you so much. And hopefully more detail during Global Business Report at 11 o'clock of some of the stories you've talked about today. And again, we'll see you tomorrow in the morning.